Hello! I would like to welcome you to the Laramy-K Optician Works Training Center, where today I'm going to talk about working with round lens and frame shapes, which can be a little bit trickier than it sounds. If you are watching me on Facebook, please give us a like. If you're watching me on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button down there in the corner and make certain that every lens in your optical life, whether it's round, square, or otherwise, comes from Laramy-K. Why round should be a red flag. Whenever you get a round frame in your hand for any reason other than taking it off the board and showing it to a potential customer, I want you to stop, I want you to look, and I want you to mark those lenses before you do anything else. You're going to want to mark the 180. You're going to mark the right and the left. And you're going to mark the top. And yes, this may all come down to the 1 in a million case, but you know what? That one that you don't do this for may be one of the worst days of your entire life. And no, I'm not going to tell you how I know that. My favorite saying, as most of you know, is don't say I didn't warn you. Just because you have a written prescription that you think you can go back to, all right, we're talking about a perfectly round or nearly perfectly round frame, meaning that that lens could easily be rotated around inside of it. If you had a 250 sill that was off by 4 degrees since they were made, you turn around, put them back in the perfect location, give the glasses back to that person. They say, these aren't right. You say, well, I have progressive marks. I can always go back to them. And you pop them out and you do this frame swap, whatever it might be, and you put them back in, and then you find out, oh, shoot, that's that one progressive that I can't find in the catalog, or I can't find the progressive marks, maybe because now I tinted the lenses or something, okay? Don't say I didn't warn you. How do you mark your 180, your right, your left, and your top? Well, AR pens work really good because they're not permanent, but they're really a hard pen to get or marking to get off, so they're a good choice. Surface tape, you could, if you felt it was appropriate, surface tape and then mark them up, or mark them up and then surface tape if it was that important. And you could use a file, or best is a slotting file. I don't happen to have one of those, but I'll show you how to do it with a file. And I say old timers rule because when I first started as an optician, I was working with a guy who was in his 60s and was one of the original guys. He used to crib glass and all that good stuff. And we got to talking one day and he said, slotting file, ever use that? And I say, only to mark round lenses. He goes, that's all I use them for. So this is going to be particularly handy when you have a persnickety tinting thing where you have to pop those round lenses out, tint, put them back in, check with the customer, back and forth, right? It's going to be a whole lot easier when you got a little notch in the top of the right that tells you it's the right, and 2 little notches to tell you that it's the left. Very surprising that this is extremely important when you're talking about demos. Do this before you pop them out. Why? Because almost all round lens shapes aren't really round. They look it, but there are incredibly subtle differences that if you don't have them aligned properly, destroys the entire shape, the entire persona, if you will, of that frame presence. And we will talk about why you want to be a blockhead. And I'm going to warn you one more time, your axis aligning pliers can often equal asking for trouble. I'll show you a trick by using your block. I talked about this a week or so ago, rather than risking using your axis aligning pliers. Again, this is about me sharing with you a lesson that I personally learned the hard way. All I'm suggesting is anytime that you see a round shape, round frame, and they are really popular right now, is that before you go taking them apart, you stop and think for a minute. Here's a good case scenario. All right, here, let's say you've never met this person before. They just moved into the area. They just walked into their store and they said, hey, I've got this super cool frame, perfectly round, and I love it so much that I bought it in 6 colors. Now, I want to see my own sunglass lenses in my lens powers in all 6 of those colors. Can you help me out? Right? You're going to be taking those glasses apart at least 6 times, probably closer to 12. Here is what I personally would do. I would grab that frame and I would give myself a 180 reference line on both the right and the left. Because my frame is sitting on my lens meter table correctly, I've got a perfect 180. And I've got that. There's my 180 mark. I would take a good marker like an AR pen and I would put a nice clear R on my right and an L on my left. And this frame actually has this beautiful notch or this where the bar comes across, and I would put a tick mark right there and right there. If he happened to mention that this is some kind of crazy vintage frame that costs $1 gazillion, or you were concerned about the lenses, I would probably also maybe add a layer of surface tape, cut 4 circles out, put one on the front and one on the back, just to protect that in case you needed to. All right, I've got that marked up now, so I could probably work from there. But what I would suggest is popping out my right. And I don't have a slotting file, but an X-Acto knife works just as well. And I would put a notch. And I can just feel that notch. I can just see it. And now it doesn't matter what happens. I could smear this, I could rub it off, I could clean them multiple times. If he wanted to see these glasses on with his lens powers, he'd be able to do that. I would do the same with my left. And in this case, to keep them apart, I would do 2 notches. And once I have those, I could take these lenses in and out of this frame all day long and easily put them back exactly where they started. I said I was going to show you something. I'm actually going to show you 2 things. First off, you pop the demo lenses out of this mono-cool frame, and it is really, really soft. If you put it into the tracer and hit go, your results vary. One time you get a perfect trace, the next time it's kind of a mess. Proving my point, if in fact I didn't have my left lens with my mono-cool markings, if I had simply popped this right lens out before thinking about it, if I had not marked it at least with a 180 in the lens meter, I would never, ever be able to go back and actually know what shape this was supposed to be. So luckily, I did do that. And I am going to use the demo lens in order to cut this job because I can't trust my trace. The other thing I wanted to show you was just a little tip, a lesson. Again, I learned the hard way. What I would do, and I showed you this a week or so ago, the mirror coat lenses in particular, a lot of the AR things now have that powder coat. Clear off that edged powder coat because it's a little tough to get off. You never want to take lenses in and out of a frame more than you have to. So always try your best to clean off your progressive marks. Make sure you've got your safety bevel in place, everything you need to do, so you only need to pop those lenses in one time. Now, the trick here is that if I have my block and my block is at my 180 and my tick mark is up, if I did my lens meter work correctly and I did my blocking correctly, if I put this into my frame, I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about going to my lens meter, checking it, taking my axis aligning pliers and risk damaging anything or twisting on that mirror coat. As long as my 180 and my block is correct, I'm good to go. If I had to adjust it a little bit, I think I'd rather do it with a tool like this rather than something like that where it has to actually grab the front surface of the lens. So that is good to go. That's my other little tip for you there. I'm going to clean these up and put on my new sunglasses. I will see you again next week.